Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is getting very close to potentially a major breakout, while the price is now running into critical short-term resistance. And on top of that, Ethereum is now attempting a breakout to the upside, while Chainlink is already breaking out and getting very close to my technical price targets. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, taking a quick look at some Bitcoin ETF news today, because just today, over the last couple of hours, we've seen Grayscale send another around 2,630 Bitcoin worth over 110 million US dollars over towards Coinbase to dump on the market. But as I also mentioned in this tweet right here, Grayscale's selling pressure keeps getting smaller because in case you're new to all of this, in case you're new to this channel, basically a few weeks ago, Grayscale was selling closer towards 10 to 20,000 Bitcoin each weekday. And then more recently, towards the end of last week, they were selling around 5 to 10,000. And once again, just today, they've only sold around 2,600 Bitcoin, which is a lot less than normal. And so even though Grayscale is still holding around 480,000 Bitcoin worth over 20 billion US dollars, once again, their daily outflows are simply not as big as what they once were. And so this simply means less Bitcoin from Grayscale is being dumped on the market, which is good news for Bitcoin. Obviously, anytime where we have less selling pressure, that is bullish, that is good news. Because basically, if Grayscale is selling smaller amounts like this, relatively speaking, compared to what they previously were selling, if they're selling these smaller amounts like 2,600 Bitcoin, that can easily be bought up by other players like BlackRock, for example. And as of right now, in terms of the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF, we still only have the numbers from Friday. And so we're still waiting, of course, for Monday's numbers to actually come in. But as of Friday, just last week, BlackRock was holding around 72,500 Bitcoin worth around 3.1 billion US dollars in their spot Bitcoin ETF. And so right now, we're potentially at the point where BlackRock is now beginning to buy more Bitcoin than what Grayscale is actually dumping. And once again, this is just BlackRock alone. Of course, there's many other spot Bitcoin ETFs also buying Bitcoin. But anyway, getting into the Bitcoin charts, this is on the daily Bitcoin chart, and technically speaking, the bearish divergence on the daily time frame is still active, but we're getting very close to potentially invalidating the bearish divergence. And this is simply because the RSI on the daily time frame is getting very close to breaking out above this descending line of resistance. And so if we simply see that signal confirm in the RSI, that breakout above this line, then once again, that would be a bullish signal helping to invalidate the bearish divergence. And as for the momentum shown in the daily Bitcoin MACD, as of right now, this is still looking more bullish than bearish. But with that being said, we're not currently seeing a lot of bullish momentum. We're just seeing some bullish momentum. And now what's interesting is if we're taking a look at the DXY or the US dollar index, of course, just over the last couple of days and just today, this is actually continuing to spike to the upside, which is one potential warning signal that we need to pay attention to. Because of course, as you can see here, the DXY is a very accurate indicator. Obviously, it's not 100% accurate. For example, it's possible the DXY can go to the upside at the same time as the price going to the upside. That is a possibility. But more often than not, if the DXY is bullish, that is usually bearish for Bitcoin, and vice versa. If the DXY is bearish, that is usually bullish for Bitcoin. And so once again, with the DXY spiking to the upside once more, of course, this is a bearish signal, a potential warning signal for Bitcoin. And so at the moment, considering the DXY is spiking to the upside and considering we have not yet invalidated the bearish divergence on the daily Bitcoin chart, for those reasons, I would not currently be flipping overly bullish again, because once again, in order to flip much more bullish again on the price of Bitcoin on this daily time frame, we ideally need to invalidate that bearish divergence with a breakout in the RSI. And ideally, also in order to flip much more bullish again, I would like to see a reversal or another drop in the DXY in order to be more confident in bullish price action for the price of Bitcoin. And so in the meantime, I'll be quite skeptical of bullish moves in the price of Bitcoin, at least for now, while we're still seeing these potential warning signals. But anyway, zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 2-hour Bitcoin chart, and just over the last 1 to 2 days, we've seen another drop to the downside and pretty much a perfect bounce from this area of support that I've been talking about, and then a bounce up towards this area of resistance. And right now, we are currently rejecting at the time of recording this video from that area of resistance. And in case you're new to this channel, this area of support is sitting in between around 41.7k to 42.2k, and this area of resistance is sitting in between around 43.3k going up towards around 43.7k. And And so as always, resistance is where we're most likely going to reject from, and support is where the price is most likely going to bounce from. And I've been saying pretty much every day here on the channel since all the way back here that I would be expecting mostly choppy sideways price action in the short term, which so far has been playing out exactly as expected. And basically, I would only start to flip much more bullish or much more bearish again on the price of Bitcoin once we finally confirm a break out of this sideways price range. So either below this support or above this resistance. But obviously, until then, we're still just chopping around in a sideways price range. So until we see a break of one of those areas, we're still looking relatively neutral in the short term, lacking momentum. And as I've explained in recent videos here on the channel, if we see a confirmed break below this area of support, then in that case, I would expect a drop down towards this area right here, basically in between around 39,500 to 40,000. And that's mainly due to the fact that we do actually have a lot of liquidity around that area down there, and also based on previous support and resistance. But on the other hand, if we continue bouncing at this area of support and instead we see a breakout above this area of resistance, then in that case, that could set up a price target at around 48.8k based on this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern here on the 8-hour Bitcoin chart. But it's important to understand that this massive bullish pattern only confirms, it only comes into play if we see a confirmed breakout above this resistance, which is sitting at around 43.6k, but ideally above 43.7k to break out above this area. And so once again, as of right now, considering we have not yet confirmed a breakout above this important line of resistance, as of right now, that bullish price target and this bullish pattern is not yet active. It is not yet in play. And as traders, we can make money in either direction. Obviously, if we break out to the upside or to the downside, we can make money with long positions or short positions. And so all we really need to know is the entry point into the trade and a possible exit point, which is basically the breakout point or the breakdown point and the price target in either scenario as the entry and the exit. And in case you're wondering where I take those trades in the price of Bitcoin and any other crypto, personally, I take those trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus by making a deposit, but only if you use that link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link to make a Bitflex account and deposit $100 worth of crypto and to make one trade over on Bitflex, then you can get 10 USDT completely for free along with other new deposit bonuses. And so if you're trading crypto anyway, or if you're preparing to take the next trade, you might as well get set up or ready to go on one of those exchanges using those links down below this video if you want to get those extra bonuses. And so once again, easy strategies to make money here in the price of Bitcoin is right now, while the price is in this choppy sideways price range, we can use things like grid bots to make a lot of easy profits while the price is chopping around sideways. And if you want to know more about grid bots, then stick around to the end of this video to find out more. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, I talked about a possible strategy in the bullish scenario and the bearish scenario so that no matter what direction the price goes, we can make profits in either direction. And now, unfortunately, I still get some comments from time to time saying that I'm just saying that we could go up or we could go down, and I'm not really saying anything. But once again, it's important to understand that you can use short positions and long positions to profit in either direction, and we don't need to know the direction beforehand. We just need to know the signals, the entries, and the exits. And so once again, breaking out above resistance, that would be the signal for a possible entry, and then a price target to the upside would be a possible exit for that trade in that scenario. And once again, we also have a possible strategy set up with the bearish scenario, a signal breaking below support, which would enter into a trade with a short position and an exit around the price target. And now, as always, this is not personal financial advice because I don't know your personal financial situation. I'm just simply pointing out potential strategies in either scenario. And so once again, you do not need to know beforehand whether or not the price is going to break bullish or break bearish because we already have the strategies and a plan set up in place for each scenario. And now if we're taking a look at this 4-hour Bitcoin chart, obviously over the last one day, we saw a small break to the downside from this ascending line of support, which was sitting at around 42.8k to 42.9k. And as you can see right here, the price of Bitcoin broke to the downside, and then we saw pretty much a perfect bounce at around 42.2k, which I've been talking about for a while now on the channel, is acting as strong support. And so even if we broke this line of support, obviously we cannot forget about other important support levels, which is why we saw that bounce back to the upside. And so this is why I've been mentioning over and over again since all the way back here. In the short term, I'm still very neutral on the price of Bitcoin while we're in this sideways price range. And I would only start to flip much more bullish or much more bearish again once we finally leave this price range. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, just recently we've actually taken out a small amount of liquidity to the upside, which was sitting at around 43,500. And we also have a little bit more liquidity at around 43.6k and some small amount of liquidity at around 43.8 to 43.9k. But if we're zooming out on this Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see some other important liquidity levels. Once again, we still have that small amount of liquidity to the upside, but as for liquidity to the downside, we have some liquidity sitting at around 41.7 to 41.8k, and also some more liquidity at around 41.6 to 41.7k. So basically at the low end of this area of support right here, we do have some more liquidity. And basically these liquidity levels, these liquidation levels is where the price is most likely going to go towards. And so due to the fact that we have some liquidity to the upside and to the downside in the immediate short term, right around these areas of support and resistance, it's no surprise why Bitcoin has been just chopping around sideways, hitting exactly these levels, because obviously the price is just taking out those areas of liquidity. And once again, as I said earlier, if we see a confirmed break below this area of support, then in that case, I'd be targeting down towards 39,500 to 40k based on a lot of liquidity sitting around those prices. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this is on the daily time frame, and right now the bearish divergence is technically still active. But if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum MACD, right now this is showing very low momentum. So this is why we've been seeing a lot of choppy sideways price action over the last few days, because once again, at the moment, we're simply lacking momentum. And so with this reduced momentum in the price right now, I would be expecting mostly choppy sideways price action, basically these mild moves up and down on the daily time frame, and nothing too significant to either direction. But if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 4-hour ETH to US dollar chart, right now the price is attempting a breakout above this descending line of resistance, which is sitting at around 23.10. But as of right now, we only have one single 4-hour candle close just above this line of resistance, and we don't really have a lot of other confirmation aside from that. And as of right now, we're currently retesting that line at the time of recording this video. And so if we simply see candle closes back below that line, so back below around 2.3k, give or take, then in that case, that would invalidate the breakout to the upside. And so in that scenario, if we break back below this line with candle closes back below that line, then we're essentially still within this descending parallel channel. And in that case, I would expect support at around 2260, more support down towards around 2250, and much more support down towards around 2.2k. But once again, if we're looking at the 4-hour Ethereum RSI, this is looking relatively neutral, with the RSI basically chopping around sideways right around the middle of the indicator. And so even though the price is attempting a breakout above resistance, once again, the momentum right now is simply lacking, which is why we're not really seeing a massive move to the upside or to the downside at the moment. And if we're taking a look at this 6-hour ETH to US dollar chart, just recently we've confirmed a 6-hour candle close above this descending line of resistance, which once again is sitting at around 2.3k to 23.10 approximately. And so technically speaking, that is now one confirmation signal for the breakout to the upside for this symmetrical triangle pattern. But ideally, the more confirmation, the better, because the more confirmation that we see, the more confident that we can be in the price really breaking out to the upside. And so, for example, with one confirmation like this, technically that activates the price target sitting at around 25.80 approximately. But because we only have one small confirmation just above resistance, this could easily be invalidated with a quick break back to the downside. And so once again, if we see candle closes back below around 2.3k, that would invalidate the breakout to the upside and invalidate this pattern. And remember, as I said earlier in the video, we're still lacking momentum as of right now. And so even if we're really breaking out to the upside and we see some more confirmation, we might not necessarily see a very fast, massive move to the upside like that, because once again, we're simply lacking the momentum. But what has not been lacking the momentum as of recent over the last few days is, of course, Chainlink, which has been exploding to the upside from this massive breakout. And this right here is on the Chainlink to US dollar chart on the daily time frame. And as I said in my last video, we have this bullish inverse head and shoulders pattern, which has already broken out to the upside. And I said in my last video, when the price was at around $18, that we still have this price target at around $20. And so far, the price has moved a lot higher since my last video. And so obviously, if you took took that trade yesterday when I talked about it in my last video, from where we were yesterday to where we are right now, that's nearly 10% higher in the price of Chainlink. And so even if you just bought some on the spot market, obviously that's a 10% gain. But if you took, for example, a 10x leveraged long position, that's a 100% profit, which is doubling your money. But it is important to understand that right now we've almost basically hit the price target. And so obviously there's very limited room to the upside in terms of the price target for this pattern. And considering the fact that the price has already pumped quite a lot from the breakout from this pattern, of course, there is an increased amount of risk if you're entering right up here. And so basically, we've already pretty much completed this pattern. We've already gotten very close to the price target, but technically it's still in play because we've not fully hit the price target, at least as of right now, which, by the way, is sitting at around $20. But with that being said, there's still a decent amount of room left towards the price target for Chainlink versus Bitcoin on this daily time frame, because we're also seeing a massive bullish breakout for Chainlink versus Bitcoin from an inverse head and shoulders pattern, just like Chainlink versus the US dollar. And as of right now, the price of Chainlink versus Bitcoin is roughly around halfway between the breakout and the price target. So there is still potentially more room to the upside for Chainlink versus Bitcoin. And as of right now, from where we are right now, at least as of recording this video, to that price target in Bitcoin terms, that's still potentially an 11% move to the upside. And so at least according to this inverse head and shoulders pattern and this bullish price target, of course, Chainlink could continue outperforming Bitcoin, at least in the short term moving forward. But either way, if you want to know how you can profit from crypto, no matter if we're going to the upside, to the downside, or simply chopping around sideways, you can make money in all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can open long positions and short positions to make money if the price is bullish or bearish. And the video in the bottom left talks about those grid bot strategies, how you can easily profit in choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.